This is the mindset shift that stops emotional eating for good. I used to think that I was addicted to food until I learned this. For years, I believed there was something fundamentally wrong with me. Why else would I eat an entire bag of chips when I wasn't even hungry? Why else would I promise myself I'd be good and then find myself binge eating at night, face deep into ice cream at 10 p.m.? I thought I was weak, broken, and addicted to food. It was actually during my health coaching studies that everything clicked. I was learning about the psychology of behavior change when I came across research that completely shattered everything I believed about emotional eating. The science showed me that what I thought was my biggest weakness was actually my brain's greatest strength. Your brain isn't broken. Your willpower isn't weak. You're not using food because you're out of control. You're using food because it is working. In this video, I'm going to share with you the exact mindset shift that helped me and my clients stop emotional eating without willpower, restriction, or fighting their cravings. Plus, as always, I will give you a little action plan so that you can actually start implementing everything you learned today instead of just taking in all that information. But first, let me tell you why thinking you're addicted to food is actually keeping you stuck. When you believe you're addicted to food, here is what happens. You see yourself as powerless. Addiction language makes you feel like a victim of your own brain. I can't help it. I'm addicted to sugar. I have no control around food. That's just the way I am. This victim mindset actually reinforces the behavior because you believe you're powerless to change it. Then you create shame and judgment. Addiction implies something is wrong with you, that you're weak, broken, or fundamentally flawed. And shame, well, shame is one of the biggest triggers of emotional eating. So you eat because you feel ashamed, and then you feel even more ashamed because you ate. It is a vicious cycle. And then also when you think that you're addicted to food, you also focus on the wrong solution. If you think you're addicted, you try to go cold turkey. You eliminate everything, your trigger foods, you white knuckle through your cravings. You try to control and restrict your way out of the problem. But this just creates more deprivation, which, well, then leads to more binging. And on top of all of that, you miss the real message. When you're focused on food being the problem, you miss what your emotional eating is actually trying to tell you. You miss the intelligence or information behind the behavior, or more importantly, you miss the opportunity for real healing. Here's what changed everything for me. Emotional eating isn't random, it is purposeful. Your brain doesn't do anything without a reason. When you emotionally eat, your brain is trying to solve a problem. Maybe you're stressed and food helps you feel calm. Maybe you're lonely and eating gives you comfort. Maybe you're overwhelmed and food provides a break from thinking. It is a coping mechanism and not an addiction. Coping mechanisms aren't bad inherently, they're survival strategies. They're your brain's way of helping you get through difficult moments. And the problem isn't that you have coping mechanisms. The problem is that food might be your only coping mechanism. Then emotional eating is a form of your brain trying to protect you. When you're emotionally eating, your brain is saying, this person is struggling, they need support, and food has worked before, so let's use food again. And this is not sabotage, it is care. Your brain is trying to take care of you the only way it knows how. And this is why willpower doesn't work. You can't willpower your way out of a coping mechanism. It's like you're trying to willpower your way out of crying when you're sad. The emotion needs to be processed and not suppressed. The need needs to be met and not ignored. I will never forget when the research I was studying became my lived reality. I was deep into my health coaching coursework, learning about neuroscience behind coping mechanisms. And that same week, I found myself sitting in my car after uni, eating chips straight from the bag. And not because I was hungry, I just had lunch not long ago, but because I was overwhelmed, stressed, and I didn't know how else to cope. And instead of beating myself up like usual, I got curious thanks to what I've been learning during my health coaching studies. So I asked myself the question that I just learned in my coursework, what is this eating actually doing for me right now? And the answer was clear. It was giving me a break. a break from thinking about my university to-do list, because at that time I was still studying hospitality management. It was giving me a break from feeling overwhelmed, a break from the pressure I was putting on myself. And in that moment, everything that I have been learning about emotional eating actually truly clicked into place. My brain wasn't broken. It was doing exactly what the research said it would do. It had identified a stressor and activated a coping mechanism that provided relief. The problem for me was not the coping, it was that I had only one tool in my toolkit, the food for relief. And that is when I stopped trying to eliminate emotional eating and started applying what I learned about building healthier coping strategies, and everything changed. So now it is about time. Here's the exact mindset shift that changes everything. The mindset shift is from shame to curiosity. Instead of thinking, oh, I'm so bad with food, my brain is trying to help me cope. Instead of, I have no willpower, I'm using the tools I have available. Instead of, I'm addicted to food, food is meeting an emotional need for me. Instead of, I need to stop emotional eating, I need to understand what my emotional eating is telling me. And I would say normally here will be the cue to this ding, 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 because this shift changes everything, because it removes shame and judgment. It makes you curious instead of critical. It helps you see the intelligence behind the information, or the intelligence behind the behavior, not the information behind the information. It opens up space for real solutions. And here's how to practice this shift. Step 1, pause and get curious. Next time you want to emotionally eat, pause for just 10 seconds and ask yourself, what is my brain trying to help me with right now? And don't judge the answer, just get curious. Then step number 2, thank your brain. Literally say, thank you, brain, for trying to help me cope. This might sound weird, but it shifts you out of that shame and more into a compassion state. Then step number 3, explore other options. So ask yourself, what else might help me with this feeling right now in this moment? Maybe it is calling a friend. Maybe it is taking a walk. Maybe it's just acknowledging that you're having a hard day. Then step number 4, choose consciously. You might still choose to eat, and that is okay. But now you're choosing consciously. You're not acting compulsively. You're eating with awareness and not shame. And this is already the first step in change, because this kind of questioning on your impulses is what helps you get out of that binge restrict cycle. It's what helps you get out of that automatic behavior. Now, what happens when you make this shift? When you stop seeing emotional eating as an addiction and start seeing it as information, you become curious instead of critical. Instead of, why did I do that again? You ask, what was I trying to cope with? This curiosity leads to insights, which then lead to real solutions. Then you start building other coping mechanisms or coping strategies. When you understand what emotional need food is meeting for you right now, you can find other ways to meet that need in the future. Stressed? Well, try breathing exercises or a quick walk. You feel lonely? Well, call a friend or watch something funny. You feel overwhelmed? Make a to-do list or ask for help. Then it helps you reduce the shame spiral. Shame is one of the biggest triggers for emotional eating or binge eating. When you remove shame from the equation, you remove a major trigger. Then when you incorporate this mindset shift, you will also develop self-compassion. You start treating yourself like you would treat a good friend who's struggling, with kindness, understanding, and support. And lastly, you trust yourself more. When you see your brain as intelligent rather than broken, you start trusting your instincts, you start trusting your ability to make good choices. And this trust is the foundation of food freedom. I said last one before, but actually the very last one is now that the emotional eating naturally decreases. Not because you're fighting it, but because you have other tools. Not because you're restricted, but because you're meeting your needs in multiple ways, in the right ways, and not just food. So here's your step-by-step action plan that is doable no matter how busy your schedule is. This week or week 1, practice the pause. Before you eat when you're not physically hungry, pause for 10 seconds. Ask yourself, what is my brain trying to help me with right now? And don't try to change anything yet, just get curious. Then next week, week 2, build your coping toolkit. Identify your top 3 emotional eating triggers. So it could be stress, boredom, loneliness, overwhelm, whatever it is. And for each trigger that you have identified, brainstorm 2 to 3 alternative coping strategies. Write them down and keep that list handy, maybe saved into your mobile phone. Then week 3, practice self-compassion. This is very, very crucial. So when you do eat emotionally, which at the beginning is normal, practice saying, "Thank you, brain, for trying to help me cope." And notice how this feels so much different from beating yourself up. Treat yourself like you would treat a friend going through a hard time and not someone that you hate. Then week number 4, experiment with alternatives. Start using those new coping strategies that you have discovered and know that some will work better than others, and that is completely normal. We are all different and we need to learn what works for us and what doesn't. Because the goal here isn't perfection. It is simply to have an expansion of your toolkit, to have more options to choose from. And then ongoing throughout it all, celebrate the shifts. Notice when you pause before eating emotionally, because that is already progress. Celebrate when you choose an alternative coping strategy. Acknowledge when you eat emotionally, but with awareness instead of shame, because all of those are wins. If you've been thinking you're addicted to food, if you've been beating yourself up for emotional eating, if you're ready to stop fighting your brain and start working with it, this mindset shift can change everything. But I know it's easier said than done, and that is why I created a free training called Stop Nighttime Overeating in 7 Days, where I dive deeper into the pause before emotional eating and how to overcome the urge to give in to your cravings. Grab the training down in the description below. It is completely free. And if this video shifted how you think about emotional eating, please hit that like and subscribe button, maybe even the bell. It not only helps me grow this channel, but more importantly, it helps more women who are struggling with food shame find this message. Then also drop a comment down below and let me know what is one thing you're going to try different after watching this video. Remember, you're not broken, you're not addicted to food, you're not weak. You're intelligent, resourceful, and capable of healing. Your brain has been trying to help you all along, and now you just need to give it more tools to work with. Lots of love, and I will see you in the next video.